Hi, I'm Sean Kevin Robert Brooks. I'm here. This is going to be my last video I do on YouTube. And what I wanted to say is that, again, I will say that our team has identified who the Zodiac was. And what we've uncovered is a number of different records recently. Some we had for a while, some we uncovered some new things recently. And some of them are medical records that correlate with when Zodiac stopped writing his letters, why he stopped writing his letters. We wanted to talk a little bit about Donald's early life again. Remember, he lived a very tortured early life. He was abused, neglected, and he suffered from alcoholism. He was mentally ill at a time that there wasn't much in the way of treatments for mental illness. In fact, schizophrenia and manic depression are treated by the same medicines, and so a lot of times even those type of things got confused a little bit. Well, I wanted to get back and say what a hero I think Robert Graysmith is and Patrolman Falk, because that is what we looked at originally. My grandfather and I, we looked at what we knew about this crime, and we knew that the guy walked with a particular walk, a gait where he favored a leg, his right leg actually, and we knew that this fella had a speech impediment, a problem with his speech, a very slow measured speech. We know why he talked like that. I want to show you again something new that we came up with just recently, and we have another member of the team that has some friends that were at Fort Ord back in the 50s, and this is actually stationery from Fort Ord. And if you look at close right there what I'm showing you, and the measurement on this stationery is 7 1/8 by 10 1/2. This is the exact same size stationery that Zodiac wrote his first letter on, but it also has the where you can actually see the overlay through it. I don't know if you can see that on there, but I wanted to show you that and get back to a couple things before I end this up. Our prints did not match with, according to San Francisco Department of Justice and Napa. I don't know the quality of their prints out there or what, but we sent them good, clean prints, and as far as I know, the only available prints, because we actually dug them up in a museum. Last thing I wanted to show you, I've never completely showed you the Exorcist card before, but I mean the Halloween card, the whole thing on the Halloween card, and I want to clarify it, and I got one more thing to go over. I'm going to make this short. Again, the outer envelope, I know I've showed you this before, but I'm going to show you the whole thing. He shows you a little symbol there on the right here on where I'm pointing to that looks like a cattle brand symbol. Well, it does look very much like some of the cattle brand symbols I looked at out there. It also looks like a Veterans Administration symbol I saw in California. But I believe what this was actually one of his own brands, and he actually told you ZVF, Zodiac is a veteran, and then you've got the 4 dots, 4F. And I told you about the stamp up here, which is Apollo 8 stamp right there, and it shows the moon on it. Well, Donald Booyak was a Cancer, and they're ruled by the moon, and they are also a water sign. And as you know, Donald grew up on the Muscle Shell River, where he practiced shooting and quick draw, and later got in trouble for killing an undersheriff. He was very disturbed. Had spent a lot of time in Warm Springs Hospital, as we all know, killed by water-sited names. Lake Herman Road, Blue Rock Springs, Lake Berryessa. So there you've got also on the card where he calls Paul Avery, Paul Averly. Now to aver, if you look it up in Webster's or any of the dictionaries you like, means to confirm. He's confirming Lee. He calls Paul Avery, Paul Averly. Confirm Lee, Averly. Okay? Now this is some of the stuff I wanted to show the FBI and I wanted to show the police. The next thing I want to show you is that he underlines LAV as another hint. Light Armored Vehicle was the division he was in. He was in the 6th Infantry at Fort Ord, stationed at Fort Ord, 51st Brigade Light Armored Vehicle. LAV, okay? Got to go on, move on ahead. I showed you before, we talked about this before, about, I never told you this part of it, but I want to show you exactly what this Halloween card means. Donald was heavily into the classics. In fact, while he was in school, one of the required things to do is he would have had to study the classics, and particularly in middle school. And one was the Mikado, and Don Quixote, I'm sure, was one or the other. And here we got a little picture of Don Quixote and his partner Sancho. Okay? Now, if you notice the little briefs he has on there, those are called pumpkin breeches. Pumpkin breeches. They were worn by the conquistadors and in the 1600s, back then when Don Quixote was written. And if you notice here, what he is doing is he is donning, look up in the dictionary, donning pumpkin breeches. Don was his name. There's his little clue to you. Up here you have the numbers 14 if you add those together you get 4, 5, and the 2 fingers up, that's 7. And then he's got the figures signed in a 6, 7, 6. You total that up, 14 plus those numbers, you get 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and you add the 14 in there, and you get 36. He gives you his whole birthday, okay? July 7th, 1936. There's 14 letters in his name, Donald Lee Booyac. Here, if you open up the card, what he's telling you here, remember on the front of the card he says, I feel it in my bones you ache to know my name, so I'll clue you in. And I've been laughed at about this, but he wrote in there, Boo. As we know, his middle name, his last name was Donald Lee Booyac. Okay? Last thing we're going to look at here is I talked about the eyes, possibly meaning he was part of the 6th Division, which was some kind of, years ago called in World War I. I don't know if this would matter to Donald, but it was a nickname called the Sightseeing Sixth. When he was there, it was called Red Star. But I've showed you both of those already. But you've got the eyes there, and then you've got a tree right there. And I want to show you what he was actually doing with that tree right there. He actually was showing you what he went through in that prison. And there is the hole where he would have spent. Can you see that? Is that nice and clear? Here, I think I got it upside down. That's great. There's the hole right there. And Donald spent a lot of time, particularly for his role in Jerry's Riot. Okay? And we've got the skeleton here. And we look at the skeleton, and again, I've told you before, he posed Paul Stine like that skeleton. And that was what happened to them in the prison. They, while they were in the prison, they were tortured and hung by the top racks of the top bars in the prison. And you've got here again, Zodiac's a veteran 4F, Z, and there. And then on the back of the card, again, you've got him telling you paradise and slaves and fire, gun by knife by rope. Okay? We want to look at this. Last couple things I'm going to show you is one, the enhanced photograph of Donald Lee Booyac, right there. And there you can see the composite right there. And we're going to go one step further on this and show you what he looked like in our records, in his hospital records we have, and in his psychiatric records during the times that he would have been killing. He would have weighed about 220 pounds, and his face would have been much rounder. He would have looked a little more like this at Lake Berryessa, and I think he wore a wig at Lake Berryessa, and wigs were not very good back then. You could not wear a crew cut wig. They weren't very good, okay? There you go. And what else do I got here? Last thing I wanted to show you is, again, the Exorcist thing, and show you completely again what I had told you in the Exorcist card and what Zodiac had said to us. He sent this to the Chronicle, and it had a little puzzle on the bottom of it. He said, I saw and think The Exorcist was the most satirical comedy I've ever seen. And then he said, if I do not see this in the paper, I'll do something nasty, which you know I'm capable of doing. And he left that puzzle, and I deciphered that puzzle as saying this: to kill. And down the bottom he says, me 37, San Francisco 0. He was stating his age. January 1974, he would have been 37 years old. This is the Mikado writing right there. Okay, that's what he emulated. And about a month later, he wrote this right here to the paper to try to hint him in and give him a clue to what he was saying. So he did everything under the sun to try to show the cops who he was and what he was about. I don't even know if he cared about getting caught in some ways when I look at some of this. Did you know that the initials SLA, Symbionese Liberation Army, spell SLA, an Old Norse word meaning kill, a friend. So he gave you the little hint what he said in the Exorcist letter. My name is Kevin Brooks, and be on the lookout for my book, Zodiac, the Montana Connection. Thank you.